It's Friday night, and what the fuck are you doing? I'll tell you what you're doing. You're sitting home dreaming about sweaty, built men in underwear. And who better to do it with than the Iconoclastic Wrestling Podcast? And here's your host, Iconoclast and Dick Taco.
Welcome to the Iconoclastic Wrestling Podcast. And here's your hosts, Iconoclast and Dick Taco.
Welcome to the Iconoclastic Wrestling
I wish I could bleep you.
Podcast. I'm Iconoclast.
And I am still your host, Dick Taco.
And let's get into some wrestling.
I'm not getting into anything with you if you're going to keep talking like that.
Okay, let's just start from the top here of what we have on our notes.
But what, are we doing the news?
Yeah, let's start from the top here. I'm just going to go down from what you sent me here.
No, that's entirely fine. I mean, I got
Al Snow says someone will die in an AEW ring. He guarantees it. All right, okay, here's something. If nobody died in an ECW ring, no one's dying in an AEW ring.
They didn't do shit like with that glass that Darby Allin did.
Yeah,
in
they
ECW.
did.
When?
You didn't see the stuff that they talked about, how they rehearsed that all the time, and there was an alternate finish planned?
No. In ECW, they wanted to work with glass?
No, in AEW.
Yeah, I read that. There was an alternate finish if he got hurt or something like, yeah, and then he gets hurt the next week and breaks his fucking foot doing something else. Because now he's missing that Mount Everest climb, which I could give a fuck about.
I know, I remember seeing something that apparently he said in an interview he didn't care if he died on Mount Everest. He was like, yeah,
that makes two of us. I don't care if he dies on Mount Everest either.
He's a great wrestler.
He's okay. He's a glorified stuntman. He's an in better shape Mick Foley. That's all he is.
Don't insult Darby like that.
I'm insulting Mick, apparently, by saying that. Mick's a
Darby can actually do moves.
Yeah, but he's going to get hurt one of these days. I mean, you see these guys like ECW and shit like that, most of them are dead from head injuries. Balls Mahoney died watching Jeopardy with his wife. 1 minute she's looking at him, the next minute he's dead. So, Shelton Benjamin's apparently in talks with AEW. And did you see Max Caster is not happy about it?
Why?
He said, it's down here further. Hold on. Where is it? Max Caster. He tweeted out that he does not want him there. And I don't know why. I mean, is there a problem with the two of them? I mean, I know Shelton Benjamin way back from OVW 25 years ago.
I don't know, but
I never heard of Max Caster before AEW.
I don't know. I think Shelton Benjamin would be really good, even as just like a producer or a coach or something like that. You know, like a backstage. They don't have to make him an in-ring talent.
No. I agree. He could be a coach. I mean, he's older too. He's got to be around Brock's age. They were college roommates. So
he's a good technical wrestler, right?
Yeah. AEW Revolution buys are going to end up being in the 170 to the 176,000.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's bad in the overall scheme of things. They don't think it's bad, but they would benefit from a streaming channel more than anything.
Yes, and supposedly that's what's going to happen within the next year or so. Whenever they sign a new deal with, they're going to get put on Max.
The worst WWF pay-per-view ever, right? WWF Invasion in 2001 did 600,000 buys.
But that's also like when wrestling was at, like pro wrestling was at its
and
peak of
Apex
popularity.
Going down, yes.
But I don't know, one thing I saw with the worst pay-per-view of all time, I remember I was reading a list and it was like King of the Ring 95 or 97. Forget which.
97, Helmsley won. 95 was, I would say it's 95 because that main event, I think.
Is that the one where Becerra won?
Who?
Becerra?
Oh, Mabel.
Mabel.
Yeah, you can't say Viscera if he wasn't. He was King Mabel.
It's
yeah,
the same
he won
person,
it.
right?
Yeah, and he got to fight. The first time you saw the King of the Ring winner getting to be the number one contender at SummerSlam because he fought Diesel at SummerSlam, and Diesel picked him up for a powerbomb in one of the worst botches I ever saw.
Well, have you seen Mabel?
Yeah, I seen him. He was about 6'10". He's about 500 pounds
Speaking of
back tits.
Speaking of Mabel and Viscera, this made me think of this. So, after I had found my copy of UFC Undisputed 3, as I was talking about before, that's what I was playing. I found SmackDown vs. Raw 2007, which has...
That's the first one with a year number on it. That's the first one with
No, it's not. SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 is.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
I thought that was the first one. Well, the first one didn't have a year, and then it was, well, whatever.
And I'm trying to find that for the emulator that for PS2 on my computer, because SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 has a fucking terrible roster. You can tell that's when WWE is like approaching its...
What did I have? I had SmackDown vs. Raw 2009 because it would link with WrestleMania, Legends of WrestleMania. You could put all the current guys in that game. That's the only reason I bought it.
They're going really down the shitter in SmackDown vs. Raw 2007.
So they were going down the shitter before Benoit died then, because that would have been out in the fall of 06.
Oh, yeah. In my... the best part of SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 is you can play as Perk Angle.
Oh, yeah. But he was already gone, wasn't he?
He's
by
in the game. By
the time it came out. Yeah,
by the time it came out, yeah.
Yeah.
But he's in the game, but he's not in the next one. Him and Benoit are not in 2008.
Benoit, if you got that for PC, you can actually find him in it, like in the files. Because people are doing that with 2K24. I watched the whole video on YouTube of a guy that was playing as Brock and Vince in exhibition matches. And there's also stuff in there like there's Demon Finn Balor, because it's the first time they didn't include that, which... I mean, he doesn't really do it anymore anyway. He's just being Finn Balor, who is about the size of Fuzzy Cupid, playing he was a midget in the 50s. He's so little, Balor. Like, I can't believe he can beat anybody.
He's in great shape, though.
Except maybe himself.
God, no. So, and then, like, you can play as Perk Angle, and I remember having Perk Angle versus John Cena in a hardcore match.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out how to pick up weapons with my controller.
Did you find that controller the other day anyway?
No, I did not find my...
Did the PlayStation shit work for it?
No, I have not figured out how to do that. But I also tried doing a last man standing match.
So you got to knock him out, right?
You have to knock him down for a 10 count.
10 count, yeah. It's like the old Texas Death.
Between Perk Angle and Randy Orton. Now...
I'd be interested.
No,
something you would watch.
They had a match at ECW... One Night Stand in 2006, I think it is.
I'm thinking.
Not the... I think it may have been... I forget. I think it was that one. That's when they had Perk Angle as the wrestling machine.
Yeah, when he started wearing the black.
Yeah.
And he wore the little shoes.
Yeah.
Go watch New Year's Revolution 06 with him in the Elimination Chamber. He's being managed by Daivari at that point.
Why?
I don't know. It was the end of his run. But he goes fucking ape shit when he gets out of the pod. It was like the equivalent of a hot tag. He's Germaning everybody. German suplexing everybody. He's going crazy. He has somebody in the ankle lock, right?
And Shawn Michaels kicked.
Oh my God. They just show a close-up of his face, and out of nowhere, a foot comes. And he's out. Shawn's a bloody mess by this point. He was sleeping on the metal apron. So,
which is what I was doing also when I did Elimination Chamber as Perk Angle.
You have to rest.
And then I got beat up. Then I got eliminated by William Regal because he took brass knuckles out of his tights.
I don't appreciate you, young man. That's why I shat in your bag back in the locker room.
That's from AEW.
Yeah. You still talking about SmackDown? Go ahead.
No, because there was a thing like the 10 count thing was like broken. Like I would knock down Randy Orton and then I would back up for the referee to count, and then he'd just be like standing over him. He wouldn't be counting. The
ref sold out. Roman Reigns faces backlash for calling Seth Rollins a crossdresser. Wasn't that what they were going for?
It's an insult to crossdressers.
I know, but I mean, like, he's whifty to say the least. I mean,
what does that mean?
It's just weird. My father used to say, that guy's whifty. You know, like he's
got the puffy shirts,
the Seinfeld puffy shirts, the little dance, the 3-eyed sunglasses. I mean, I get
St.
annoyed.
Patrick's Day suit, the mother suit.
I get annoyed with this because I'm used to seeing what a good worker he is. I didn't say safe worker. I said good worker. So I haven't seen him in the ring in I don't know how long. So I can't. All I've been going on is his goofy outfits and what he's been saying, and it frankly leaves me cold.
He's gonna be having a match with Drew McDonald.
Drew Galloway
at WrestleMania. Well, Drew Galloway. No. Drew McDonald is who he was in Impact. Drew Galloway was who he was in ICW
in Scotland. Isn't that his real name though, Galloway, or is it McDonald? I can't remember.
I think it's Drew. I think it's.
We'll have to look it up.
No, I'm going to look this up.
Yeah, because now I'm confused. All I remember was Drew Galloway after 3MB.
We're a 3-man band.
Here it comes again, folks. Great music, though. Great.
Andrew McLean, Galloway the Fourth.
Wow, nothing like I thought it was.
So
he's fighting Seth. Did they announce it yet?
Yeah, well, he won the
yeah, I know, but they have. I mean, I figured he was, but they haven't announced it.
No,
all they've talked about
is that no, they did.
I must have missed it.
Just that no one gives a shit.
And they're only talking about the tag match on night one.
Exactly, no one gives a shit about it because the only thing that matters in WWE is the bloodline.
Yeah, but you got to admit the story. It's
no, it's not good. It's not good.
Making The Rock a heel. I mean, they had to because of all the backlash. But
because he's a heel in real life.
I know he's a prick.
There's all this shit coming out now about how he's got all this backstage heat because people are angry that he's like allowed to use profanity in promos and basically say whatever he wants when everyone else still has to be PG.
Well, all right. He's on the board. He's not a Hall of Famer, but he's one of the most famous wrestlers of all time. And these fucks in the back that can't do a promo without having it written for him need to shut up and maybe try to push the envelope themselves a little bit.
Yeah, but like everyone else still has to do scripted promos, but he doesn't, and so people want to be able to have the same freedom he does.
Oh well, go somewhere else then if you don't like it.
Yeah, go to AEW where they don't have
scripted. They'll take anybody. They're like the Oakland Raiders in the 70s.
That's not true. They won't take anybody. Sean Spears left. They didn't re-sign Sean Spears.
That's true. Okay, one person. WWE Sheamus account on X, formerly known as Twitter, deactivated, no longer exists. Not a lot of people talking about this because nobody likes Sheamus, I'm sure.
Well, Sheamus just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, he's older. He got started later because he was like a workout buddy at Triple H.
Well, didn't he wrestle? I think I saw the last time he
wrestled in Ireland. He started originally.
Was the last time he wrestled a match was like back in August, like when Adam Copeland was still over there.
Edge's last match, yeah.
Yeah, that was the last time Sheamus wrestled. And Adam Copeland's been in AEW for like 5 months now.
Yeah.
What? He's having a big match on Wednesday.
Are they in Toronto?
Yeah.
On Wednesday? Yeah, that's what I heard. We'll get to that later after. I got some things to talk about big business too.
Oh, what? You didn't like big business?
I got my thoughts on it. I'll tell you. Don't ruin it.
Mercedes Moné debut was good.
Yeah, I heard. I'll get to that in a little bit. It's down the list a little. Muhammad Ali is now in the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2020.
Why is he there? Like, what did he do for wrestling?
Because the thing with Inoki in 76, that's it.
That's not a wrestling match. That was the first
It's awful, too. It's awful.
And Inoki just kicked him in the leg.
They're putting him in there because they probably had to use his likeness in the video game because they put him in a video game, too.
I know he was at Collision in Korea.
Yeah, he was there. He was one of the dignitaries. That went
yes, I know that.
Jesse Helms, one of the senators, went over there, too, from here.
And I remember, and then didn't you tell me that he got body slammed on like Saturday Morning Wrestling?
I don't remember.
Or something. I thought you told me that was in like the intro.
Oh, no. He got he got airplane spun by Monsoon. This is while he was suspended from boxing when he needed money and everything. So yeah, it was in the intro for Championship Wrestling for years. Monsoon at the end of his career too. So
oh, speaking of Monsoon old announcers, we'll be talking about that during Iconoclast Shitty Wrestling Corner.
You got to announce it when it comes up because I got you an intro for that this week.
Oh, wait, really?
I did. I didn't get a chance to show you before we get on the air. I'll show you when we get off.
Okay. Kevin Sol. Okay, this is bullshit. I want to know what kind of.
Just read it first before you say anything, because nobody else is looking at it. Just read it to the. Okay, read it to the masses here.
Kevin Sullivan on his podcast Tuesday with the Taskmaster.
Is he the bad guy from the Captain America movies? He's in Marvel vs. Capcom.
Equated that losing Punk, Cody, and Jade Cargill is akin to being shot in the chest. Said they're lucky to be alive after 3 shots. Okay.
Say what you got to say.
I'll
say what I got to say.
Okay, let me go through all 3 of these. Punk was a big draw.
I'm glad you admit that because I looked up a lot of shit this morning that proves their ratings have gone severely down since he's been gone. They used to draw over a 1.1 with him. Now they're not even getting to a 1. So I'm glad you admit that.
He was a big draw. I admit that. Personally, I think that the toxicity he brought with him isn't worth the draw. But
well, Tony just spends money like a drunken sailor anyway. I got to get to that later too.
I got that stuff with Mercedes Moné has no evidence. We'll talk about that later. But so yes, he was a big draw. But I personally,
you're right. It might not be. It might not be worth it to deal with something like that.
Now,
if you were booking, you would want to deal with it. Cody, like you said, was booked. If he booked himself or whoever booked him,
he booked himself.
He was booked very shitty.
The thing where he made it to where he wasn't able to challenge for the world title after the first time he challenged for it in 2019.
Yeah, that's kind of dumb.
And then they did a thing with...
Sounds like he's doing it now in WWE with what The Rock said the last time.
Yeah, and now they're doing a thing where, or the thing that I saw a lot at the end of his career is that people made jokes about him being in the Codyverse. His storylines were completely disconnected from everything else on the show. It was like he was doing his own little, it was the Codyverse. But then
that's an epidemic in AEW.
No, it's not.
Okay. Say it, don't make it so. But go ahead.
No, it's not.
Keep going.
Suck it. And then he cut terrible promos.
I don't remember. I'll take your word for that.
I'm going to bring up 2 examples. He did one. Now, I was not watching when this happened, but I've seen it after the fact. He basically cut a promo during the George Floyd riots, talking about
I wasn't watching back then, so I don't remember.
Basically, people made the joke that he fixed racism. He was talking about, because you know how Brandy is black, his wife?
Yeah.
And you know how
I've heard that. I've seen it too.
And how he was saying, talking about, my mixed race princess is proof that we can work together or something like that. It's, I don't know.
What's that, his daughter?
Yeah.
Oh. It's she ain't mixed. She's black, the wife.
Yeah.
The kid would be mixed, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just that it was very tone deaf for what was
Well, who knows
happening.
what they were throwing at the wall that year. I mean, nobody was going to the shows. They probably were just doing whatever the fuck they wanted. Not just AEW, anybody.
But also...
You watch some of this, the Thunderdome was just fucking depressing.
The TV story?
Oh, my God.
And then there was the thing with Cody where I remember this, because he was getting awful go-away heat at one point. Because towards the end. Because everyone was happy when he left. When it comes to the fans. Because he was just... His entrance would take 5 minutes. He would come out in a suit, which is what heels do.
Yes.
Normally.
He started doing that suit after he left WWE. He was doing that in Bullet Club.
I know, but...
Ring of Honor and New Japan.
And then he cut this promo where he, broke kayfabe, and he was just I will not turn heel. And it just was very strange.
Well, that's strange, too, when people start talking about they're not going to turn heel when nobody gives a shit about you to begin with. You know? When he was in AEW, he was stuck in the middle there.
Because he put himself there.
Do you have proof of that? Because I'm asking because
that's what I've read.
Look at how much
that's what I've read.
He is now.
That was his idea, and he says
it was a bad idea.
And he said that he regretted it later.
All right, well then it was a bad idea.
Which my response is they could have just undone it.
Yeah, you could have done some kind of swerve where you sent him off TV, and there's just several ways you can handle that.
Which again, so it's his fault. And Jade Cargill.
All right, I'm going to agree with you on this one. So go ahead.
Pisses me off. So again,
Sullivan's looking at her I always talk about her being a specimen. That's the way he's looking at her, but there's nothing behind it.
I know, but she was never a draw. We've talked about this, and after seeing Mercedes Moné on Dynamite, it just makes me feel like she was just trying to be like a ripoff of her.
Yeah, she just happens to be bigger than her because
and can't talk, unlike Mercedes Moné, and can't wrestle, and has shittier outfits, and is just in general a discount version of her.
All right.
And
I'm going to tell you right now, I never gave 2 shits about Sasha Banks. When those 4 horsewomen came out of NXT, I never saw shit in her. She's ghetto as fuck. She's tiny. She gets hurt all the time. And I don't see it.
You just don't like women's wrestling.
No, but I like plenty of the women wrestlers. I like Charlotte. I like Rhea Ripley.
You only like women's wrestlers that you find attractive.
What, the gigantic ones?
Yes.
Oh, don't get me started.
You're like Mike Awesome in WCW, the Fat Chick Thriller. That's you.
That was awful.
Yeah, but that's you. They should give that. They should have given you that gimmick if you were a wrestler.
Guilty. But
I was watching a lot of Mike Awesome stuff recently.
yeah, you were texting me yesterday. I
was watching matches of his. And
he was in
FMW. He was the Gladiator.
Gladiator, that was his name. I couldn't remember it. He
was
the same gimmick. He just wore like face paint.
I was seeing the stuff. His power bombs looked
off the top rope. Well, they came back. They brought him back for that one night stand, and he fought Tanaka again. He just had shorter hair because 2 years later he wound up killing himself. Anyway. I
saw that.
But they were fucking each other.
He's got his own dark side.
Those scars Tanaka has, those are mostly from Awesome.
He's got his own Dark Side of the Ring episode.
Yeah.
Which just recently came back. They did an episode on one of your favorite wrestlers.
Earthquake? Buff. Oh, no, Buff was last week.
Marcus Alexander Bagwell.
They did Earthquake. That was episode 2. Earthquake was episode 1.
Yeah.
About him and all the bullshit in Japan where he fought Koji Katao and they shot on him when they had the SWS.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what any of that is. But anyway, that's what I was saying.
I have it on the computer.
You only like women's wrestlers that you find attractive.
I only like women's. Well, I don't really think Charlotte's that great looking. She doesn't do anything for me, but I think she's a great wrestler. Rhea Ripley, yes, she wears all black. She's a dominatrix. All right, fine.
All the larger women.
Yeah, but none of those. Yeah, but while I tell you, I could get a hard on for Nia Jax or Piper Niven. That don't mean they're good wrestlers. That's because it means I would be interested in watching it. And I watched Rhea versus Nia Jax because it was the main event, which I think was the good call for Australia, unlike the Big Business main event.
What do you mean? What was wrong with Big Business?
It was, who was it against, what's her name, Riho?
Riho versus Willow Nightingale. That was confusing, I admit.
Did you see? All you got to do is look at the ratings to see how confused everybody else is.
Fuck you and your ratings.
Why? That's what it boils down to. You talk about AEW's got all this money. When they lose a fucking television contract,
I don't give two shits. What I give a shit about is the wrestling. I don't give two shits about anything else. ECW was the best promotion in America of the 90s, and they had 1,000 people in their shows and didn't even have a national TV deal for most of it.
Yeah, but TV was different then too. It was all.
What do you mean that? What the fuck does that mean?
It was different. You had different channels. You had less channels. Remember when you argued with me about Hogan and Andre doing a 40? You're like, holy shit, 40 million. You're like, wait a minute. You only had like a dozen channels back then, which is true.
What I'm just saying is that the ratings. I am someone who cares about the wrestling and the show itself.
You're gonna watch them regardless. I know. I get it.
But
you can't deny this stuff. You get so mad. You cannot deny this stuff.
I know it's numbers, but because again, to a lot of people, WWE is pro wrestling.
Well, yeah, because of the longevity and how long it's been around and the way they do things. They look at it as like the standard bearer for the sport. But I don't think that's necessarily true. Somebody else could come along and find a better way to do stuff. World Class Championship Wrestling is the original one to do more than a couple cameras instead of one hard camera.
Really?
Yeah. So, and the first people to use music. Yeah.
Right?
First one to use, I think, the first ever entrance theme, I think, is Bad Street for the Freebirds. The first famous one. That's the first music video done by wrestlers. But
then it's just that I don't know. I like AEW with the idea of it just being a large independent promotion.
Yeah. Well, that's what they are because they squashed they did to all the other indies what Vince did to the major things in the 80s. They took everybody from the indies, and now there really isn't any more indies. There's a handful.
Yeah, but they didn't try to do it like Vince did.
They didn't do it like that way on purpose.
They didn't double cross people. They didn't do
predatory business tactics.
No, they didn't. No, like what they did was not.
Well, he's not a good businessman
in
anyway.
Spirit and malice, in my opinion. They just gave people good contracts.
Tony Khan is collecting these wrestlers that he likes.
Yeah.
Regardless of what it does to his product, the fact that it does no change in the product, bringing in Ospreay, who the first time he gets put on the national television show, the ratings go down. And as far as I'm concerned, Big Business the other night, I told you, I don't see nothing about Sasha Banks. And if he's really giving her $10 million a year,
there's no way.
You could dig up the Fabulous Moolah, Sensational Sherry, and June Byers, and I wouldn't give him $10 million total. And I got into talking with the wife about this before you got here, because she said, you're not just saying that. She goes, I don't know you to be sexist. You're not just saying that because it's a woman. I said, no, I just don't see how you bring in Okada, who is like Okada and Tanahashi have been compared to Austin and The Rock in the late 90s in Japan, especially over the last 10 years. You bring that guy in for $4.5 million a year, and you give this bitch 10.
She's not making 10.
We need to look into that more because everybody's saying.
I have not heard anyone else say that.
I heard Meltzer say it. I heard Wrestle Talk say it. I heard Rene Dupre's podcast say it. Everybody is going with this $10 million number. And if that's true, you're talking $15 million a year tied up between two people. I know you talk about how he's got unlimited money, and he probably does. But the money, like, he's just getting them, obviously, to collect them like little figures. Or like Vince with his little, plastic dildos with the names after them. So.
Thunderbolt Patterson.
Yeah, which, did you see that? How he's getting added to the 2024 Hall of Fame?
I had to look up who that was. I didn't.
He's a black wrestler from the South. But did you listen to the one episode the week I did the after you left when I did the news with the sex scandal?
No.
And AI Vince came on and talked about he had a vibrator named Thunderbolt Patterson.
Oh, look at that prediction. But anyway, I
foreshadowing.
Again, when it comes to the ratings, I really don't give two shits. What I'm here for is the quality of the product.
Neither do I as a fan. I didn't give a shit during the big ratings war in the 90s, but I kept up with it.
It's just like a dick measuring contest.
Yeah, but Tony's always going to wind up having a smaller dick when it comes to that.
Doesn't mean the product's any worse.
It's not the size of the wave, it's the motion of the ocean.
Yeah, it's like what that Ring Rat website said. Just because Steve Corino had a big dick doesn't change the fact that he had all the bad reviews.
I don't want to talk about Steve Corino's dick. Did you see Alvarez talking about there was a movement to bring back Lesnar because his...
I saw that headline.
Yeah, well, that's been squashed. This is a legal situation. They said they're not getting involved in it. He's done for right now. He's only in the, like I said last week.
Oh, speaking of, section. I had a comedy gold piece here. I don't know if you can find this picture, but I was trying to play, when I was testing out that PlayStation controller hooked into my PC.
Yeah.
I was playing.
And it didn't work, you said, right?
Yeah, but when I was trying to test it, I put on, I think it was Here Comes the Pain, and in that PSX emulator.
Yes.
And he is the loading screen. And I don't know if I don't know if you can find the picture. And like, you know,
he does that?
Yeah.
Oh, I can find it. That's pretty famous. That's like a meme.
Where, and Mama Wayne was there because she was trying to help me set it up. And I was like, I said with that picture of Brock, that face when you ask her for piss videos. She thought that was hilarious.
I've seen that meme 100 times. Do you think Cody has anything to do with booking this whole angle?
No.
Really?
No.
I always said I thought one of the reasons he came there is because he wanted to be part of the booking stuff. If they even have like anybody other than Triple H.
I don't think that they have a booking committee. I just think it's just Triple H.
No, they probably don't. But I mean,
I think Triple H is going to get fired.
Yeah, we'll save that for. Well, you know what? I'm not doing the sex scandal stuff on a thing here.
No, there isn't much like the stuff with Nick Khan and Brian Bloom.
Yeah, so, that's what I'm talking about.
I don't know who Brian Bloom. I've heard that name before, but I don't know who that is. Is that Albert? Is that A-Train?
Brad Bloom? No, it's B-L-U-M. You're thinking of Matt Bloom. B-L-O-O-M.
Yeah.
I was like, Ted Sai, A-Train. Oh, I know him. But no, we might as well. We'll talk about it.
One of the most disgusting wrestlers I've ever seen.
No matter who he was.
He has like 10 piercings in his ear.
They announced the other day about who the 4
corporate
officers were.
How they knew about what was going on and how, I don't know, again, I don't think that he's stepped down or been fired yet.
Nick Khan has not gone anywhere. Brad Bloom hasn't gone anywhere. Steph, you don't see her anymore. But this Brad Nurse, apparently, he's number 4. He was a legal consultant or head of the legal.
Didn't we talk about him earlier?
When I brought up, a
couple weeks ago on the show,
I brought it up because I got it from another guy. But Brad
didn't he
Nurse,
leave the company a couple years?
No,
recently?
He had a problem with her being there, and I think either he was let go or he stepped down or something. So, I mean, he had a problem with knowing about all this and her being an employee there because she's not a proper hire, obviously. I mean, that's the nicest way to put it, with the nepotism of giving, like, I can't even call her his girlfriend. Your rent-a-dick holster that you were trying to do with there. But
the thing is that he knew about it, he didn't tell anyone.
No, everybody's saying, and Ari Emanuel said, anybody who knew about this is done. Let's see if he keeps his word.
And personally, I think if Stephanie knew about it...
Well, she's not there anymore anyway.
I know, but I think it's pretty likely that Triple H knew about it.
Yeah, I don't know how your wife would know about it and not you. But there is truth. I mean, there's so much stuff intertwined with this. Like, Ryback's been going crazy on his podcast.
Ryback has a fucking podcast?
Yeah, but
who listen to him talk?
But he came out and said there's something that has to do that happened with John Cena and Alex Riley years ago that caused him to leave Alex Riley. Alex Riley doesn't talk about it. There's a possible.
Who is Alex Riley?
He was a college athlete or like a football player or something that they brought in. He used to be a Florida Championship wrestler. He was with The Miz, and then he feuded with The Miz, and then he was gone as quick as you would hear about it. Nobody. But apparently Cena and him got into something. He doesn't talk about it. But so he's saying Ryan Reeves, Ryback, says there's an NDA involved there. And also there's an NDA involved with Triple H and a former wrestler, Caitlyn. He said there was a time during WWE television that Triple H and Stephanie, when they were on it, were not wearing their wedding rings. So there may have been some issues where I don't know if they were separated or something. But Rene Dupree, who was in the WWE for a while as La Resistance. Yeah, he said he had heard the Cena Alex Riley thing before. And I recommend that show to you because it's not one of the more annoying ones.
And his girlfriend was the woman who was assaulted at...
No, that was Paul London.
Paul
London was on that show.
Yeah, that's
Ashley Massara was his girlfriend. Yeah.
Who was assaulted in Kuwait.
Yeah.
But then there was, again, with the stuff here, like, Vince has been assaulting women for decades.
Yeah, like Earl Hebner said, he knows it going back all the way to 88, and that's only because he just started working there then.
You know, like, this is stuff that's going to be coming out this is stuff that's years in the making here.
I know, we're going to have so much material when this shit finally hits, no pun intended.
I know you still think that Cena's one of the unnamed parties, but...
No, I'm hoping Cena's one of the unnamed parties.
No, because you right
Cena's
here...
the kind of guy you could picture him having, like, you know, pictures of, like, you know, like Prince Andrew with, like, 14-year-old hookers or something.
And didn't you also write here that he said that he lies in interviews according to SES Scoops?
Yeah, did you hear about that? He came out and said that in a fucking interview.
That he lies? What kind of idiot is he?
But why would you say that after you just went on Stern and did that stupid-ass interview?
Where he didn't even answer.
Where he just walked around it for 20 minutes.
But I listened to it. I listened to that episode of Stern when it happened because I listened to it every day on the way to campus. Yeah, because
you told me about that, yeah. I listened to it after you told me.
And like, you know, Howard asks him, and he does try to push him for an answer.
Oh, he always does. He's a great interviewer.
And Cena just kind of keeps like, he's like, you know, like he's kind of, you know, he's like family to me and stuff, and you stick with people who through thick and thin. And Howard's like, you know, but like I've had friends that, you know, do horrendous things, and at some point,
I'm going to love the person, yeah, until
it's like, and
you got a hill to climb or some shit.
And he's like, you know, like there's a point where you just have to cut off all contact.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Cena's a very good actor, I will say that. Peacemaker was perfect. He was in this movie Ricky Stenicki that just came out, which apparently is very funny.
With Zac Efron, I heard.
It's apparently very funny.
He throws the worst fake punch I ever saw. He should just lay him in with those fucking hand fists he's got. He's got two catcher's mitts. Like that guy, he didn't become like a proctologist or something.
Like Ovas.
All right, do you want to do
yeah, and one other thing. When I was playing SmackDown vs. Raw 2007, he did one of his finishers. He did the 5-knuckle shuffle. That looks so terrible. He bounces off the top rope and then just punches you.
Yep. There ain't nothing he does good. All right, you want to do your little
all right.
Here?
Now,
Let me set you up here. Let me set you up. It's a new skit. It's not a skit, but you talked about it and actually named it last week. We're going to do a new thing here on the Iconoclastic Wrestling Podcast. It's Iconoclast Shitty Wrestling Corner.
Drunks and losers, wars with lips, flows and hoes and one-eyed pimps. Down the alleyway they creep. They're all your friends when you can't sleep. Come with me and you will see a late-night freak show. Jubilee, kick the Sandman in his sack. Stay up late, insomniac.
All right, so unfortunately you get your own show on this show now. So please tell me, now that I can warn everybody and they can turn us off for the next 10 minutes.
Okay.
Just get this over with.
Okay, I got a couple things for you.
Oh, great.
Now, I got about 3 things, if I'm correct.
I got a couple of 3 things for you.
Now, do you remember a wrestler from WCW? He would have been in the Dungeon of Doom, named Loch Ness.
Yeah.
Giant Haystacks.
Oh, from England.
Yeah.
He used to be on World of Sport or something, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was fucking old then when they brought him over here. Oh, my God. You bring up shit that I never wanted to think about ever again. That was in my prime. I was like about 16.
He was about 6 feet tall, over like 600 pounds.
He wasn't 6 feet. He was 7 feet, wasn't he?
Or something.
He was the biggest guy in there.
He was bigger than the Big Show.
Yeah.
Because they had them have a match at one point.
Yeah, because that's where the Big Show came in as the Giant when he was Andre's kid.
That was Hogan's idea. So anyway,
You're kidding.
They bring him in. He gets brought in with Jimmy Hart as his manager.
I don't remember him being introduced, but I do remember seeing him. And I know Jimmy had to do with Dungeon. Because Jimmy, the last members of the Dungeon of Doom, it was Meng and the Barbarian. They were still a tag team into almost the end of WCW.
Because they had... I'm trying to think of the matches that I saw with Giant Haystacks. Now, here's the thing. Eric Bischoff says he had no idea who Giant Haystacks was when he signed this guy.
Well, that probably worked in Giant Haystack's favor, to be
now,
honest.
He knows one move. Like gets a guy on the ground, and then he walks over them, and then elbow drop.
Yeah.
And then pinfall. That's it.
I think his pull in World of Sports in England was just supposed to be unbeatable because he was so big.
Well, they had him, and there was another guy, Big Daddy.
Big Daddy was from over there too.
Yeah, and but they were very popular. They would just
Yeah, Davey Boy Smith went back there right before he came back to WWF in 90, 91. Because him and the Bulldogs bounced around from AWA, Japan, and then they went over there, and Davey Boy left and trademarked the name British Bulldog because he was going back to WWF. So Dynamite had this guy Johnny Smith in there, and they were the new British Bulldogs, and they had to change their name to the British Bruisers because of copyright. But
speaking of, that comes into another part of the Shitty Wrestling Corner,
Jesus.
Which I'm saving the best for last. You've probably seen
the worst for last, Jimmy.
You've seen that pay-per-view because it's so famous. It's called Legends of Wrestling.
Oh. Same thing I did when they were like, "Who's in the main event?" Riho. I'm like,
No, it's there was Giant Haystacks wrestled Das Wunderkind, Alex Wright,
Nazi shithead. He would be good in Imperium if he was around right now. Because he really was German.
Yeah, he was German.
His father was a good wrestler too, Steven. Not to be confused
he also
with the
wrestled
comedian.
Marcus Alexander Bagwell before he was Buff Bagwell.
American males. American males.
Was that their music?
It was awful. Just look it up on YouTube. It's fucking terrible.
There was also, I think he also may have had a match with Lex Luger that lasted 30 seconds.
Probably the longest 30 seconds of Lex's life.
He also had a match with the Giant.
It was a giant disappointment. That's all it was.
I know eventually he ended up leaving because he would cut promos where he would go to "I'm coming for you, Hogan." Because the big thing was that he was the Dungeon of Doom and that he was going to be their secret weapon against Hulk Hogan.
Loch Ness and him didn't last very long.
What?
Because I don't even know if they were in that Tower of Terror thing.
I don't think he was.
I think he was there and then gone.
He ended up becoming a debt collector and then died shortly after.
Hey man, collecting money it can be fun. I was 18 years old. I collected money for a girl I was dating who was selling marijuana, and I went to the guy's house and I opened the door and I busted my way in. I put his head in the oven. I said, "If I come back again, either your head's going in the oven if I don't get to my." Now I came back and the guy wound up going to jail for something else. So I used to tell people he went to jail instead of fighting me because I thought it was easier.
But eventually, now the second thing on here is actually very recent. This is now
recently Shitty Wrestling Corner.
Yeah, this is this is Impact's most recent pay-per-view. I have to find it because they have pay-per-views.
It was the other, was like on the 8th or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, now, this is confusing because they do pay-per-views and then they do monthly specials.
Yeah. Because they have their own channel, right?
Yeah, no, but the monthly specials are only on the...
Was it Sacrifice?
Yeah, crap. I'm having trouble finding it.
No, I'll find you. What do you want, the results?
I got Sacrifice 2024.
I'm trying to find it just to
Here we
follow
go, March 8th.
Yeah.
Because their next pay-per-view...
I wasn't able to get it. I got it yesterday. I usually can get it like a day or two after.
Is this... Or was it Under Siege? No. Under Siege isn't until May.
Yeah, this is March 8th, Windsor, Ontario, Canada.
So we got the pre-show, which I did not see at all. Bhupinder Gujjar
Your guess is as good as mine.
defeated Cody Deaner by pinfall.
It just says Diener here.
Oh.
And it's Crazy Steve, not Crazy Steve.
Crazy Steve, he's the guy that stabbed Tommy Dreamer.
I know, but
with
it
a fork.
says Crazzy.
I know.
That's Crazy Steve, not Crazy Steve.
Defeated Joe Hendry. Now, the first 3 matches, if I'm correct on here, Speedball Mountain versus the Rascals, Nick Nemeth versus Steve Macklin, and the System versus ABC, you can barely even watch.
I'll have to see when I look
because
at
the connection is so bad. It's either like in like 144p or like frozen. They can, and again, Nick Nemeth is supposed to be their big new star.
Yeah, but he's not sticking around that long. He said he's going to bounce around on the Indies.
Oh,
He said he's not committing anywhere. He's the biggest star they've had on in a while, but he's
He'll
not
end up
going
in
to.
I bet you he ends up in AEW at some point.
Well, his brother's there. I would say that's a safe bet. Why wouldn't you go there? Tony's throwing money away. Get in line.
PCO, who is still wrestling, defeated Cone by pinfall.
Did you ever see what the bad spot he took when he broke his shoulder?
No.
I watched something on like wrestling's worst injuries, try not to wince. There's like 8 parts. He does something and you can see the motherfucking bone sticking almost up out of his shoulder. I'm like,
Hammerstone defeated Josh Alexander by pinfall.
so what? They're doing the former Vince McMahon shit where they just get rid of the guy's first name?
I don't know. The guy I was watching review this makes jokes that Josh Alexander is basically trying to rip off Kurt Angle.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Doesn't he even wear like the headgear like Rick Steiner?
Yeah.
That Kurt wore when he got his head shaved?
I don't know. He did this thing where he did like 10 consecutive German suplexes without releasing them. So that, I guess, was cool. But
well, everybody does 3 now. I mean, come on. What's that?
Mustafa Ali and the grizzled young veterans defeated Time Machine, Chris Sabin, Kushida, and Alex Shelley.
The Time Splitters plus the Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley. They used to be the Motor City Machine Guns, right?
Yeah, but Alex Shelley and Kushida were the Time Splitters.
I remember that, yeah.
And now the Kushida and Kevin Knight are the Intergalactic Jet Setters.
Roaring Grace, I see, was on the card.
Defeated Tasha Steeles and Zia Brookside.
She's an answer to how much HGH do you have to take to strip everything female from your organs. She has done it.
I mean, that's not healthy if a person looks like that.
You brought her up months ago, I remember, because I put the picture of her. I was editing the show. I was like, I saw it.
Because like you can look at what she used to look like and what she looks like
now.
No,
just the way she looks now is scary enough. I don't need to see anything else.
But like, there's a difference between like, you know, gaining muscle mass and getting in better shape, and then there's that.
Well, you
like,
see a lot of people with HGH and like steroids, their face gets bigger. Baseball players see it, like Bobby Abreu, Barry Bonds, their head gets bigger.
It's like Bane with
bone density. It gets to be larger for some reason.
It's like Bane with Venom.
Yeah.
And then the main event, Moose defeated Eric Young, the Red Rooster, by pinfall.
You know who Moose is, really?
He's a football player.
Quinn Ojanaka. He's a former OK guard for the Atlanta Falcons. And Eric Young, that's your fucking main event? First of all, that guy's your champ, and that's your main event? Yeah. So talk about reasons why you don't have a TV deal.
No, they have a TV deal.
Where are they on? Access?
Yeah.
They're back on air?
They've been on there.
All right. Now that we got that out of the way.
Moose.
Painlessly. What else you got?
Heroes of Wrestling. Now, I only have somewhat of a memory
I don't know if there's enough
of this.
suicide gifts that I can use this week.
What?
I don't know if there's enough gifts about suicide I can use this week.
Now, I don't really remember this because I watched part of this at 5 a.m. last night. So, now, this was all the different... I'll tell you what I remember. The Samoan SWAT team with Paul Adams and Sika defeated Marty Jannetty and Tommy Rogers.
Tommy Rogers from the Fantastic.
Now, this is from 1999.
Yeah, he was way past his prime then, Tommy. Tommy Rogers and Bobby Fulton were in their prime in 1984.
Greg Valentine with Sensational Cherry defeated George the Animal Steel, who mainly looks confused during the match.
Looks confused normally. That must have been a shit barn of a match.
The first match I saw, the guy I was watching review this said that the first match is like watching four old guys stumbling around looking for their car keys.
It's like George Carlin used to say, you ever watch golf? It's like watching flies. Fuck.
Too Cold Scorpio defeated Julio Fantastico.
Oh my God. That guy was a high-end... I can't even call it. He was a jobber.
Who ended up becoming Julio De Niro, I think, in TNA, which was CM Punk's tag team partner for a while.
Not to be confused with D'Angelo De Niro.
The Pope? That wasn't until way later.
Yeah, but I'm saying I hear De Niro, I think of D'Angelo De Niro.
Because they were CM Punk, Julio De Niro, and Mickie James were in The Gathering with Raven.
Yeah, because he used to date her or something. Punk used to date Mickey.
Yeah, and then he was with someone else from TNA for a while.
Yeah.
Punk comes up a lot in that 400 disgusting wrestling things you sent me.
He does?
Some
I
stuff.
couldn't go any further.
The Men Down Under, Bushwhacker Bush and Bushwhacker Luke,
Which they couldn't be called the Bushwhackers.
defeated
But
the
they would have
Iron
to be called Bushwhacker, Butch, and Luke.
defeated the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov.
Oh.
They get a USA chant started. The Bushwhackers. They're from New Zealand. They also lick someone's face in the crowd.
I got licked by them August of '89, Wild Convention Hall. Same
Why?
Because I was standing by the railing. They grabbed me. They smelled awful. I'll never forget that.
You've been 9.
Yeah, I was 89. No, I would have been 10 going on. I would have been 11.
What'd you say? What did
Nan was like, "Oh my God, you smell!" Because she actually went with us that night. Papa and I used to just go, but Nan actually went.
Now this match is supposed to actually be pretty good. Tully Blanchard versus Stan Lane. Now,
Probably two guys that could work. I'm surprised Stan was wrestling in '99.
Now what happens is I think it's Stan Lane. Now the commentary is awful.
Who are the commentators?
Lou Albano.
Ugh.
And two other guys who can't commentate. They're confused throughout the entire match. One guy doesn't know the names of the moves
So it's like listening to Shivani.
That's not true. Don't shit talk Shivani like that.
Oh, I will shit all over him in his sleep, like Bill DeMott did the Bagwell on that list. If I can get half a chance.
There's a thing that happens where I forget who pins who, but I think it's Stan pins Tully, and Tully gets his shoulder up at 2.
Is it a double pin?
Yes.
Like a bridge? Yeah,
And-
that's an old thing. They don't do
But
much
the
of it.
but the commentators don't know what's going on. So they're like, oh wait, Tully won. No, wait, I guess Stan won.
They are supposed to act a little confused, but they should bicker with each other. Like, no, I saw he do it.
No,
He got his shoulder up. I saw
They
it.
were all just confused. Abdul the Butcher with Honest John Cheatham versus One Man Gang. Now, this match...
Abby couldn't move a lot by then, but One Man Gang is a bigger
He takes
guy.
a fork and stabs him with it.
That's his thing. It's kind of his shtick,
The next match, Jimmy Snuka, accompanied by Captain Lou Albano. Now, I had seen Snuka...
Well, Lou managed him when he was a heel in the 70s.
Now, I had seen Snuka wrestle on the last edition of Iconoclast Shitty Wrestling Corner when I watched that ICW Legends and Icons show. No, JCW Legends and Icons.
Yeah, the one you want me to...
Watch,
Yeah.
the Insane Clown Posse did.
I would rather walk pelvis first with no pants on into a box fan.
That he wrestles. Now, Jimmy Snuka's in that at 70. Here, he wrestles Bob Orton. And, I told you, I don't remember.
Junior or senior?
Bob Orton
Be Junior, right? Cowboy
Junior.
Bob.
Cowboy Bob.
Bob Orton Sr. was his father. It's Randy's grandfather. That's what I was saying. That's the only reason I was asking.
And Jimmy hits him with the crossbody. Now we get to what everyone knows this pay-per-view for.
Jake the Snake.
Yeah.
The drunken promo.
He talks about like
About the backstage stuff of his fat ass taking a piss in like a bucket.
First, he cuts a promo where he talks about like you're doing,
And he is visibly wasted.
Yeah.
Visibly hammered. Three sheets to the wind, shit-faced.
He's like, you got 21, I got 22.
Yeah.
You got this, you got that, and then the camera like.
Who was he fighting?
That's where it gets complicated. You'll understand that in a second. I think it was supposed to be King Kong Bundy. Or Jim Neidhart. But you'll figure out what happens here. So he's cutting a promo, and then somehow, like the camera like gets pointed at the floor, and he's like, "Wait, cameraman, come back up here!" And then he's wrestling. I think it's Jim Neidhart. Now, I'm guessing Jim Neidhart's still in good shape at this point. Late 90s.
I'll take your word for it. He was at WCW like as late as 99, so.
Like he looked the same as he did in the late 80s from what I saw.
He was always built like that. He always had a gut. He was like a power lifter. He was a football player.
And
but you know how he got the nickname, the Anvil, right?
How?
The Calgary Stampede, when he was wrestling up there, he used to go to the Stampede. He would participate in the Anvil toss, which is you throw an anvil, and apparently he won at least once, so that's where he got the name
what
from.
happens here is Jake the Snake,
besides me losing interest in the pay-per-view,
is like kind of moving around the ring, sort of like
I can't wait to see the thumbnails I have to put up for this.
walking around. He gets a snake out to like put on Jim Neidhart. I think it's Jim Neidhart he's wrestling. Because
doesn't matter, trust me.
This is supposed to be the penultimate match. The main event is supposed to be Yokozuna versus.
There's more.
The main event is supposed to be Yokozuna versus King Kong Bundy. But what happens is Jake is like walking around. And,
Yokozuna versus King Kong Bundy. You're right.
And he takes the snake and he's like treating it like it's his genitals, and he's like pointing it at the crowd.
Yeah, I saw.
And
those are the only things I've ever seen about that paper. I have that on the computer. I know I have it.
We might have to watch.
I talked about it. I got it for you.
We might have to watch it the whole thing and review it. Just like
I don't know if I can, dude.
Just like NWA Solid.
You know when you're gonna have to get me for that? I'm gonna have to be sick in bed to where I can't walk away. And the only thing I can do is like take some kind of pill that'll make me pass out. I'll watch whatever you want then. I'll be in a coma.
And so eventually he ends up on the ground, and Jake is almost looks like he's half asleep in a drunken stupor.
Not acting.
Then King Kong Bundy and Yokozuna come out, and then it's made into a tag match. Well,
they had to do something because Jake obviously couldn't compete on his own.
Yeah, and then they don't really wrestle, and then King Kong Bundy just goes into the ring and pins Jake the Snake, despite the fact that neither man was legal, and then that's just the end.
Who cares? It's get the fuck out of here is what it's called.
Yeah.
Don't go to the finish. Go home. Get the fuck out. That's what it's like.
It's like when I rewatched the thing where New Jack throws Vic Grimes through the table.
What do you mean through it? He didn't go through anything. He
over him.
He grazed one table.
And then there's a thing with that where the announcer is telling the arena over the in-arena microphone, everyone get the fuck out, because they're trying to get the medics over.
They got to get him in there. That's no joke. I told you when Jerry Lawler had the heart attack, they had to come down the ramp, go through the crowd, all the way around the arena to the back of where the commentary desk was, and take the barricade apart. Because they knew they wouldn't be able to get down there, and they didn't want them to see it, I guess, on TV. Because
Jerry Lawler's too fat to move.
He's not that fat. He's chubby, but he's not. Anything else on your iconoclastic shitty corner?
No, hopefully I can watch some more NWA TNA pay-per-views.
Hopefully
for next week.
So that's it for iconoclastic corner. All right, let's run through the last couple of these things because I want to go over big business before you leave.
Oh,
but I want to go. I want to get up the results, and I want to hear what you think about it. Miro and CJ Perry getting divorced.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares indeed. I don't even know if Miro cares. Gunther to defend IC title against Sami Zayn at WrestleMania 40.
Good match.
Yeah, but it could have been like Gunther and Brock or something. And because he has an affinity for piss videos, this is what I'm left with. Also, Jey Uso to challenge Jimmy.
I was seeing an article
where I could care less
about how that might end up being one of the worst WrestleMania matches of all time.
That has to be on in the very beginning, or it has to be a popcorn match on one of the nights.
Oos! They're not even going to be able to wrestle. They'll be so confused. Well, they'll start punching themselves.
That's all from the 311 Raw. Anthony Henry suffers broken jaw out of AEW tag title tourney. I wrote another AEW employee gets injured, but I don't understand how. Do you know what happened to him? Who the fuck is Anthony Henry anyway?
He's part of the Workhorsemen with Pretty Peter Avalon.
Oh, God. The fucking librarian. I know he's not a librarian anymore, but he was. It's bad enough.
Him and Leva Bates.
Britt Baker returns to AEW, cuts a promo, says she can't wait to get back in the ring. Neither can we, Britt. We've missed you.
Her and Mercedes Moné could put on one of the best women's matches of all time.
Sure. I do agree with that. I'm not being facetious at all. Bang Bang Scissor Gang breaks up at Big Business.
They're going to be having a match at Dynasty to unify the six-man belts. I've known this from the beginning.
Oh, really? Good. Get rid of the Ring of Honor belts. They should have been doing this a long time ago. Kenny Omega cleaner entrances in WWE 2K24. Did you know about that?
No. That already happened last year.
What, it was? Well, I don't know. Nobody reported it. Leah Maivia going into the 2024...
Is that Rock's mother?
Yeah, Rock's mother. The High Chief's daughter going into the 2024 Hall of Fame.
Why? What did she do?
She promoted the NWA Hawaii territory for years.
There was an NWA Hawaii territory?
Yeah, it was NWA territory for no matter where you went. Like
NWA Alaska?
What's that?
NWA Alaska?
Probably there's NWA like Scranton or NWA Schenectady for all I know. I don't know.
What's Schenectady?
It's Schenectady. It's a town in New York. All right, what's up with FTR? The beating they got at the hands of the Blackpool Combat Club at the pay-per-view, they look like a team that's leaving the territory. Beat down in their own hometown.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. It wasn't a beat down. It was an equally wrestled match.
But I'm just saying, like, they got beat 2 or 3 times, like, in a row. Like, they're on their way out is what it looks like. And you know they're not because they re-signed. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's going to be like the underdog faces.
Oh, did you see Bailey, Naomi, and Tamina Snuka were at Big Business? They wore masks to get in.
They have to. They have to.
I know.
It's like with Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash wanted to go to Sting's last match, and he wasn't allowed to.
Well, Sting wanted him to get involved in it.
Oh, really?
I read that afterwards, yeah. Booker T says him and CM Punk almost got into it at the 312 NXT taping. Not sure about this one. It sounds like an angle. He brought it up on his podcast and said he'll get into it later after the internet runs with it. So we don't know if that's true or not. Could just be something there.
Can you dig it, sucker?
Homeless Kyle O'Reilly to return at 6/8/24 against Brian Keith.
June 8th? That's like 2 months away. 3 months away, almost.
Speaking of Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, she catching some flack now because she said she hasn't ruled out a return to WWE in the future. Very good thing to say when you haven't debuted for the new company yet and you're the highest paid woman wrestler of all time.
She's not making $10 million.
Until you can prove that's false.
I have not seen that anywhere else until you fucking brought it up.
Yeah, but you don't do all the research I do. Chris Jericho said... Now, he also did not rule out a return to WWE. That's
good, get him out of here.
That may not be on your format or not. But he should. I'm like, why? Nobody wants him back there. He also says his main goal in AEW has always been to elevate the younger talent.
No, it's been to leech off younger talent.
That's right.
Will Ospreay.
Who is he elevated? Will had a good match at All In spite of his fat ass.
Oh, wait, did you read the Jack Perry thing yet?
I'm reading it now. Jack Perry said he changed the world facing Sonata at the last Forbidden Door. I wrote, I want him dead.
Did you see his entrance in House of Torture in New Japan? Comes out with a goat mask on because he's the scapegoat.
They fired the guy that punched him. It doesn't make any sense.
But he lost.
Even a 10-year-old could figure that one out.
He lost in the quarterfinals of the New Japan Cup. So the semifinals are Sonata versus Hiroki Goto and Evil versus Yota Tsuji.
I used to like Hiroki Goto's father, Tarzan Goto. I liked him. Logan Paul's going to defend the U.S. title in a 3-way against Randy Orton and Kevin Owens at WrestleMania 40. I guess they're still going to have Owens in that feud with him.
Huh?
He was feuding with him, and then he punched out Orton with brass knuckles at Elimination Chamber.
I don't give two shits about the Paul brothers.
Oh, I can't wait to see Jake get killed by Mike Tyson. They're fighting in
Please,
July.
that's going to be I bet you the only reason Jake Paul agreed to that is it's going to be an exhibition fight. Because there's no way that the Texas State Athletic Commission is going to license Mike Tyson.
Did you watch him train?
I know, I did see him train. He's
beating up people, and he looks at the camera and says, day 3, still want to fuck with me? I don't care if he's 55 years old. That's Mike Tyson across the ring there. When I was 10 years old watching him fight, he murdered people. And finally, the dumbest spot on, it's last night's Collision. It'll be last week's.
I did not watch Collision on Saturday. I fell asleep.
I watched the American Dragon versus Brainless II, Katsuyori Shibata. The dumbest thing I saw was where they sat Indian style in the ring and started slapping each other. Yeah. But I say it's dumb because it took them so long to set it up. I don't agree with that. But anyway, you want to talk about big business before we go?
Sure.
You want to bring you got the results up?
Yeah. No, I don't.
I'll bring them up.
Well, the big thing was Mercedes Moné's debut. She cut like a 10-minute promo.
Yeah, they pretty much did the whole Punk debut thing word for word, where it was an open secret, and then they had her come in, right? Like, they didn't say she wasn't coming, didn't say she was. But they've been talking about this since All In, since she showed up in the stands.
She had 2 surgeries.
Because she gets injured a lot.
What other time has she been injured?
She was injured a lot in the WWE. Here we go. AEW Dynamite big business results. What do we got here? The CEO chants in her music. Did you hear that? Those are all piped in. It's part of the song.
No, it's not.
It is so. Listen to it again.
Well, yeah, there are some chants in the song, but the crowd was pretty hot.
Joe, I'm glad to see they worked Swerve in at the end of the Samoa Joe versus Wardlow match because you knew that was going to be a throwaway. Wardlow, the policeman for the group Undisputed Flatulence. Kingdom, sorry.
Why do you hate the Undisputed Kingdom?
Because all they're doing is they're doing the Undisputed Era from NXT.
What's wrong with that?
Minus O'Reilly. Nothing really.
O'Reilly, I bet she's going to join that.
Trios match, the Elite. Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada, the Young Bucks.
This was a good match.
Versus the Continental Breakfast Champion, Eddie Kingston, and the Death Triangle.
This was a good match. I liked this match.
Who's Death Triangle? Oh, that's the Lucha Brothers and Pac, right?
Yeah, but it was Penta El Zero Miedo, Pac, in his return to AEW after his injury, and Eddie Kingston.
Tony Schiavone then in the ring to talk to the American Dragon about his fight with Will Ospreay.
And then they cut 2 promos against each other, basically Danielson saying that, Ospreay, you say you're the best in the world. I want to give you a chance to prove it. And that's why they're having a match. I think that Ospreay, a rematch between the two should be Danielson's last match.
Yeah, and I think they should go like an hour. 1 hour Broadway.
It's a good passing of the torch to show that,
oh, he is the best wrestler in the world, Will Ospreay.
Danielson is right now. But the idea is that after Danielson retires, Ospreay will be the best in the world.
Deonna Purrazzo was backstage. Switchblade Jay White, who his booking's been a mess ever since, his world title match back in the fall.
I don't know. He's a mid-carder.
He's not, though. He was a world champion in Japan.
Well,
they book him like shit.
To quote Darby Allin, what he said, "You've won championships all over the world, and what have you done since you came here? Play with cardboard cutouts?"
FTW champion Hook and Lionheart Chris Jericho versus the Gates of Agony, Bishop Khan and Toa Leona.
Yeah.
Renee Moxley Good was backstage to interview Kyle O'Reilly.
I only saw the first half of Big Business. I went upstairs after a point.
And then main event time, Willow Nightingale versus Riho. That was horrible.
This was to set up stuff with Mercedes Moné.
Yeah, but it wasn't any good. Those two aren't any good. But
do you know what else isn't any good? Macho Man versus Ricky Steamboat.
You could say it all you want. You're in the minority on that one.
Yeah, well, go fuck yourself.
That's fine. Get a t-shirt with that made, too. Next to Suck My Tiny Irish Cock, and what's the other one? Insult the Crossdressers. You got anything else for this week?
Do I?
Nah, I guess not.
Now, sign off!
Good night, everybody.
Get your hand off my penis!